I want to deviate just slightly to the African American population and community, and in recognition of the fact that African Americans have a higher incidence of kidney disease than white Caucasians. How do we engage African Americans in kidney research?
This is a huge focus of ours, and I'm remiss in not mentioning it sooner, so I'm glad you brought it up. One of our main goals this year as an organization, and in perpetuity, I shouldn't say just this year, is addressing health inequities, as you mentioned. African Americans, or Black Americans, that constitute 13% of the US population, but they make up over a third of dialysis, transplants, and chronic kidney disease in the United States. So it's just a magnifying glass for the disparities that exist. It's can't be allowed to stand anymore. And so we are launching actually an initiative in partnership with an organization called HEAL. And the goal is to pilot, at NephCure, we just want to do. We want to not talk about a white paper or some paper that's, going to be out years from now. We want to do something. And so we're actually piloting how to find the patients. So to answer your question directly, as we all know, there's just an innate and sadly earned mistrust of clinical trials in the United States with the African and Black community, just Tuskegee and others. And it really is a matter of brokering that trust and fostering that. And what I think the community doesn't want to see is fly in, thank you very much for your participation, and fly out. It really has to be a durable commitment. And so I would ask any company to please, the patient edge materials have to be more culturally relevant to the Black population than just in general. They also have to see doctors that frankly look like them. That is what they've told us, more participation of Black American nephrologists. And so we've made a commitment to address this. And so what we want to see, what FINISH looks like to us is, if there's a trial, that the trial represents, just like the vaccines, the diversity of America reflected in the trial recruitment of your trial. We also want to see in our regional communities an equal representation, how that reflecting America. And most importantly, as we talked about earlier, getting to the care earlier in the paradigm. And that's not, it's not going to be easy. We're reaching out to churches, we're doing all kinds of things at a grassroots level, and I think that's where it has to happen, really at a grassroots level.
Fabulous. Well, kudos to you. So you may not, I don't know if you can answer this, but I'm interested if you've seen any success and how you, and what was successful in helping to accelerate recruitment, not just African Americans, but kidney patients into trials. What advice would you give Goldfinch and other biotech companies about the best way to recruit for their trials?
So I've been to your offices, and I can see the culture at Goldfinch. It's a very relaxed, progressive, friendly environment, and I think so. You guys have the right orientation, just from culturally that what you put in place, Tony, and that really stems down to the patient. It's all about intimacy of the patient and the patient understanding the trial. And the advice I would give is twofold. One, at a doctor recruitment level, it's great to have the glomerular disease experts, but also the next tier. Who are the big practices that see the patients? But from a patient perspective, the number one reason why patients participate in kidney trials is they want to give back. It's not even for themselves, believe it or not. It's they want to give back, and that's consistent in every survey we've ever done. So recognizing that these are good folks that really well intended, and that they get the benefit, of course, themselves. But so what I'm trying to say is it's an intimacy. If the contract research organization or whoever, because of regulatory environment, touches the patient, that they provided with patient ed materials, talk to the patient, understand this is how this trial is going to work. This is how we can help you. Here's a 24-hour hotline, and keep them active in the communication throughout the process. And I think that goes a long, long way.
Yeah, I think you're right. And just expanding on this a little more, One last topic I wanted to cover before we close is the importance of the patient perspective. Tell me about what NephCure has undertaken to incorporate the patient perspective in the clinical research they support.
Right. So it's a multi-level, right? Never an easy answer. And so how does the patient go in here? So number one, we've had panels that was sponsored by the FDA that we've worked together to record the voice of patient. So the FDA hears it, and when you send a protocol to the FDA, now the FDA says, okay, you know what? PRO, the patient reported outcome, that makes sense. In fact, you can almost get an approval using a PRO. And that we've heard the patient say, yeah, this is really important. And we need to do these things and be inclusive. So that's number one, I would say, at a regulatory level is something that we've done. I think at the next level is, again, providing the infrastructure such as kidneyhealthgateway.com and others that patients, we are kind of the go-to organization in clinical trials for nephrotic syndrome, and that we're on the social media and we're doing everything we can to dispel the myths about clinical trials and show that, this is a golden opportunity for you for care for all the reasons that we mentioned. And I think going forward with our regional communities, what we've done is made this part of our mission. And when we talk to new patients, in the same breath, when we say, welcome to NephCure, we say, don't look at the internet. Whatever if it's from 2017 back, don't even read it. It's outdated because the world, as all we've talked about, has changed dramatically, right? And now we go a step further. We say, okay, what about the future? And we are here to help you. And the reason we say things are different is now we can do genetic testing. That wasn't available before so readily. Now we've got clinical trials for you to participate in. You don't necessarily have to go on these high-dose steroids and immunosuppressives. We've got all kinds of understanding about other medications that we can put together. And we also know who are the doctors you need to see, by the way, equally important. And so that's what our future looks like. I think brokering the relationship with the patient so that the patient's not in the burden of going to the doctor. Can you imagine putting yourself in your doctor? I didn't go to medical school. You're a doctor, Tony, right? So, at the end of the day, standing up and looking at this patient, this medical school doctor and all the great degrees they have and saying, I want to talk to another doctor, Dr. So-and-so. And that's a clinical trial. That's not an easy conversation, right?
Yeah.
Breaking up with your doctor, and we're not breaking up. We just want you to be a quarterback, and we want this other person to be a receiver and help out.
Yeah.
And brokering that. So that's our role. And I think things are really optimistic right now. It's an incredible time.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a phenomenal time to be moving the needle to help patients with kidney disease, for sure. Just want to thank you again for speaking with us today, Josh. The insights you provided, so valuable as we and many others work to advance innovation in the kidney space. I think NephCure is doing a phenomenal job. They've been tremendously successful. And, hearing you talk, the future looks incredibly optimistic. We at Goldfinch are excited to continue the partnership, and I'm sure other industry partners are as well. And we're looking to work with you on how to be more helpful for people living with kidney disease. So thank you once again, and really appreciate your time.
Tony, thank you for everything. If you want these comments, take them out. But I would like to say something about Goldfinch. So Tony, I would like to thank you and your team. For people who don't know the pharmaceutical industry, the easy path is to take diseases that are tried and path tread with the big markets. It takes courage, it takes bravery, and it takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness to convince investors and people to go into rare disease, especially rare kidney disease. And so I thank you and your team at Goldfinch for doing what you're doing. You're helping to save lives and the future of patients of ours. And thank you for all you're doing. And it's an honor to partner with you.